Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. When they say OMG, is it oh my God? Oh my goodness? Oh my gosh? I guess you can use any of
Could
those,
be.
right?
It's pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So here we are,
It's a
Universal.
yeah. I think we're being visited from some people from other universes. I think right now. I mean, this
So I
drone
see
stuff
you
down
like,
here is
yeah, you're kind of going in and out. Are you, am I going in and out? Huh.
no. I hear you fine.
Okay. All right. So here we
Can you hear
are.
me
It's
now?
Monday. It's Monday, everybody. Is it 11 o'clock yet? It's 10:57.
Yeah,
We're going out to all
yeah.
the universes, all the drones that are flying over New Jersey. I think
It's
that's what it
here.
is. That's what it is. They want to watch the show. They're getting like a spot so they can watch the show at your place.
You nailed it. Yeah. I
Ah.
saw Beth and I were walking Sophie this morning. It wasn't light yet, and there was one flying like about 100, 200 yards away.
So you were
Yeah.
saying the other day that they're the size of a car. Is that are you like?
Well, I haven't been close up, but that's reported as big as a car. Yeah.
Oh,
Some of them
really?
fixed wing, which is a whole different thing. Yeah. It's concerning. Yeah.
But this has been going on for weeks now. They don't know what's going on. Like,
Well, they do. They know. They know
yeah,
exactly what's going on.
I was going to say because they go up there. I'm sure the first thing that the FBI or whatever it is. You know what I like to? What was it? Like something came up the other day talking about the FBI. Like where they're going to they're going to pass some judgment or something like that. I'm thinking we're going to trust the FBI and the CIA to make a right decision.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating because from here I can't do much.
Yeah, excellent
Right.
point by you.
So you just
Excellent
gotta,
point. Yeah.
yeah.
You
Sit
know what we
back and
can
do
do?
your
You know
best.
what we can do though? You know what we really can do? We can analyze our poopitation. Like I went
See,
through a really
there you go.
troubling time. I had a really troubling time, as you know, for about a month there, where those two sites were inside me, those parasites. And I thought, will this ever come out like the way it's supposed to? Now it is
Right.
firm, tight, smelly, good texture,
Listen,
good
this
color.
is this in terms of the world stage right now is probably the more
Yeah,
important thing than
right.
Syria or Assad being over
Absolutely.
anything. Yeah.
Right. How about Trump there? What was with the handshake? He was shaking hands with the macaroni guy
Oh,
from Paris.
yeah. Where am I? He's like this. Like
Yeah.
like
What was it? Kind of like an awkward thing or something? Like they were shaking.
no, I think Trump was like trying to really
Oh,
give him the old jacked up, like, don't mess, dude. Like, yeah.
so
Bless.
that's what's his name? Macaroni, the guy from France, is Macaroni.
Macaroni. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get
Yeah.
and we get the guy from Russia, Putin.
Poutine. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man, do you
Putin.
like that?
That's
You
the
like that?
French fries with cheese and gravy and everything.
I've never. Yeah, I was totally repulsed.
That's supposed to be a big
I'm sure it's
Canadian
good,
thing.
but I just
It's supposed to be a
yeah,
big Canadian thing,
yeah.
but to be honest with you, I never had it growing up as a kid. I don't remember having.
Really,
Yeah,
it's more
yeah,
Montreal, but I shouldn't. Well, Ottawa's I guess the other side of the river's Hull, but when I did a hockey school there years ago, that the coffee truck in the morning had poutine.
right. Oh, really?
I'm good.
No, I do. I try to stay away from it now, but I guess if I made my own, French fries with gravy on it, oh, that's pretty good.
Well, it's pretty much along the
Yeah,
lines that they just put curds on it too. Yeah,
curds.
it
What
might
is a
be. I'm
curd?
sure it's good, but it's just
Is curd a
cheese has
cheese?
gone bad. Yeah, yeah,
So-
yeah. It's I think when you make cheese, it's kind of on top. When you see them scraping that off,
right.
like when it's
Like,
almost
like
liquid
blue
still.
cheese.
I mean,
Like blue
yeah.
cheese is basically cheese that's going bad, right? Isn't it? How does it get?
That gone bad. Well, cheese in itself is milk that went bad. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh,
That's
okay.
what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
So, like, if you have a slice of bread or
I mean,
cheese or whatever,
wine is grapes that went bad.
I know who's the guy
Wine's
that
grapes that went bad.
who's the guy that Theo or whatever it is, the comedian. He's kind of funny.
Theo
Uh,
Vaughn.
yeah,
Theo Vaughn.
he
Yeah.
says that all the time. He says, I like raisins. I like grapes that have been through things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
How about like if you have a slice of bread or something that's been in the fridge and you go to eat it and it's got a little bit of like mold on it, but not the whole thing.
Goes right down.
Oh, really? You eat it?
No. You just
You
break
don't-
it off and then you eat the rest.
Yeah. So you cut off the mold.
Yeah,
and eat the rest.
not all mold's good for you. It's not penicillin. Yeah. Like you can't have a rough weekend like on R&R out in Saigon and eat bread and think you're going to be fine because of penicillin. Yeah.
Homemade penicillin.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
So, okay, let's start with a little bit of sports. So the Rangers, since we spoke, traded
Please.
traded Trouba.
Yeah.
The only I kind of get. And we've talked about this when it happened, like during the summer with the whole wife thing and her having to. And we knew it was going to be a problem. I'm kind of amazed that yeah.
I think honestly, Joe Biden handled Hunter's pardon better than Drury handled this.
How about
This
it's
is bad. I mean,
fantastic.
why,
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
don't know what was the point of hanging the kid out to dry,
I know.
blaming it on his wife when you're going to trade him anyhow. And he eventually said, "Okay." I mean, I don't understand. Keep that that's between you and
Well,
the GM. It doesn't have to be
I
out
know.
there.
Yeah,
But
I
it
know.
is. It's I get it. I get it. It's kind of like maneuvering.
Yeah, it should. Those stuff should be kept private, but it is hard to keep stuff private when you're in the National Hockey League.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I guess. Yeah.
I guess okay. There's two sides. So let's look at the Rangers side. Like Trouba came out, I guess, in a press conference after on a Zoom call, saying that he was forced to make a decision between his family and his career.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't forced. Nobody forced him to make a decision. He didn't.
Right.
There's been many, and I know the game has changed, but there's lots of guys that when they're traded, they leave that day to get, and the family, the wife and the family, okay, honey, you got to deal with it.
Go play
I'm
for
on.
the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's two sides to the story. I mean, that's implicit when you're a professional, any athlete. This is part of what's going to happen. And if you don't complain about it, try and make that money out here.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
And yeah, but he signed the contract.
It's a privilege.
Yeah, and they said they designed it around her residency, so he had a no movement clause until her residency was done, and then it became a no trade, which is easier to move him. He would put in a list of 15 teams he didn't want to go to. Well, now it gets delayed because of COVID. Her residency gets delayed. Well, that's not the Rangers' fault. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's not the fans' fault. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, just putting all that aside, as far as a lineup change and the difference in the temperature of the team, I don't see any. I mean, what was accomplished here?
Yeah, that to me, that's going to be if there's many more moves to come. Like like again, I'm not saying they need to do it. They've got to make the decision. If they've decided they need to change the culture of the team, that move doesn't do it. There needs to be more. Now their hands are tied a little bit, like they're talking about Zibanejad. Everybody's pointing the finger at him. He's got a no movement clause. Right. Yeah. Now you can still go to the player. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I was going to ask because you were an agent for all those years. Can they waive Zibanejad? What would happen if they waive? Can they waive him or no? Yeah. No wave.
No move. Yeah. So you can't move him at all. Mm-hmm. But that happened to Goudreau though. Did he have a no move? I should be careful when I say that. Maybe if they put him on waivers, they can. But I don't think.
What about buying him out? Can they do that?
They can buy him out. So that would be 2/3. There's a lot of cap implications and all that kinds of stuff. But again, they can go to the player and say, listen, I know you have a no movement clause. This just isn't working out. We want to trade you to, okay, here's the options we have for trades. Do you want to go? Because what happens to the player is then he knows, man, it's going to be really awkward coming back into the locker room knowing this team doesn't want me, right?
Sure.
So, but
and what happens? It might be a good thing for him too, because he's really squeezing his stick. It might be good for him to go somewhere else, like Ottawa, or somewhere, where he can kind of blend.
Well, and that's the thing. Everybody's now pointing at Brady Tkachuk, which makes sense. Like again, assuming if they've made the decision, they need to really upgrade like that character part of the team. If that's what
the guy that's the kind of player they need.
Yeah. Like he'll be your next captain, and just like his brother down in Florida, he's not the best player there. He's the guy that kind of stirs the pot, right? Yeah.
It was 2 years ago, maybe. They're playing in New York here, and it was, I think, Rangers were winning 1-0 going into the third, and you could just see by his body posture, I'm going out there, I'm going to score a goal, and he did. Then it went into OT, same body posture, and went out there and got the game winner on OT. And that's what's missing in this club, I think. They don't have
and that thing where, like, I know it's hard to kind of explain, but dragging you drag the rest of the team into the fight too, right? It's like if the guys aren't engaged, we'll go elbow somebody in the head. Now you take a 2-minute penalty, but now you brought the rest of the guys into the fight. Kind of.
I mean, Mark Messier, one of the best skilled guys ever. I mean, I still think third in scoring, but if he knew it was time to pick up the team, somebody's eating an elbow. You know what I mean?
And playing against him, you knew that's the way he
Yeah.
was. So if you ever got up on the team and they were playing flat, you're going, oh God, like
We were
here we
playing-
go. Like he's
That
going to
was-
do something.
against Boston a long time ago. It was a New Jersey kid. I don't want to mention his name, but he was in camp with Boston, and he kind of caught in an exhibition game. He kind of caught Mess, like kind of, and I said, oh, "That's not a good move."
Yeah.
And the next shift, man, Mess, boom! I mean,
Oh.
just concussed him. It was pretty bad.
That's funny. Oh, did you see Tom Wilson? As much as Ranger fan hates him, get hit in the face with a
I
puck?
love that guy. That's another guy you need. I mean, that kind of player you need.
Well,
Right?
just yeah, I know you know that whole mentality. I got hit in the face with a slap shot.
Yeah.
Now again, it was a glancing blow, but still, you look at his face; it's like all
Like
swollen up.
here, I would be like, you might want to have that looked at. You know?
Yeah, and he scores 2 goals too.
Yeah.
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 I tell you, they could be the most surprising team in the NHL this
I
year.
think so.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
still winning.
Yeah.
Ovechkin's out of the lineup right now
Yep.
too, so
When does he come back?
should be pretty quick. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's been close to a month he's been out, and they said they said a fractured tibia or something. So I'm assuming some smaller
Yeah.
bone or something. But
Oh, me, that would be. Never mind.
you don't have small bones in your body. I'll tell you, you're one big sucker. You are.
Oh yeah.
You're all man. I'll
I
tell you
agree.
I tell you, you know what though? After the Giants game, I had to take a nap. That was so exciting yesterday. The Giants and
Listen, man.
oh, that's awful.
The Jets.
Oh, at least the Jets were better yesterday.
Yeah, but they snatch victory every
Snatched
time.
defeat.
I mean, snack whatever it is.
They snatched
mean,
defeat out of the jaws. Of
Yeah, something. Whatever it is. They suck. That's pretty much what it is. He's not a winner. The guy's not a winner.
Well, and you know he's so.
He was a winner 5 or 6 years ago. Or 8
I
years
know.
ago. But no, I mean,
He was asked now, and I give him credit for this. He was asked after the game.
Mhm.
You know what it is? He's so intelligent too. That's part of the issue. He's more intelligent than the average pro athlete.
right.
So when they asked him, okay, you've missed the playoffs for 14 years in a row. He goes, I've only started for 1 year. That's all I can. Those other
Yeah.
years don't really. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's right, I guess. But it was bad. I mean, they should have won that game. Not easily, but they should have won that game. And they find a way to lose.
Yeah. Oh, Brian Landon. This is a new face here we don't usually see. Apparently tanking is real. Yeah, sure looks like it. Yeah. Brian Landon. So remember the old TV show Michael Landon was in Bonanza and
Of course, yeah.
yeah.
And
So
then
his daughter is in
Little
that TV show Yellowstone. She plays a pretty prominent role. Plays
yeah,
Teeter.
we finished up Linus. Man, that was a good series.
Oh,
really
Lion.
good.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, oh yeah, you'd like it.
Have you seen Landman? Have you
Gonna watch it tonight. We
Oh,
watch it. Yeah, that's
it's pretty
really good too. And it's all Taylor Sheridan. This guy's on a roll, man.
So this last night's version of Yellowstone, he's pretty like I give him credit. He's a pretty confident guy too. Like
Oh yeah,
basically yesterday's show was mostly about him.
that's all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty jacked too.
Oh, he's jacked.
Yeah,
And he really he's a horse trader and he's a total scumbag. With women, he's a total scumbag. But it was pretty funny. Yeah, it was a lot of good lines in it and everything like that. It was-
the writing for all these shows is tremendous.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of like little subtle stuff. So
Yeah.
in Lioness, I'll give you they're like special operators, but they work for CIA, so they're like a black op kind of thing.
Right.
And it's one of those general scenes you see in like all these kind of action with it just laying around in the barracks and they're eating food and stuff. And there's one guy's a little bit heavy and he's having a conversation with one of the other female operators. And she says to him, while you're hurtling headfirst into type 2 diabetes, because he's sitting there stuffing his face with, I mean, just the writing is clever.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It is true. There's one scene. There's this older guy, Lloyd, the old cowboy. You know, he's good. I think he's actually really a cowboy too. And it was his birthday on the show, and he was 58 years old. And these other two cowboys were pretty funny guys. And they're going, 58? You look like you're 70. Did you have cancer? And then they go like, "Is this? I saw this show about accelerated aging. Is that what you have?" Like, it was pretty good stuff. Yeah, I actually like your show.
Well, even Tulsa King. I mean, the
Yeah.
first series, not so much season. The second season, a lot of self-deprecating stuff by Stallone. It's pretty funny stuff.
It's amazing how those kind of shows, Landman, you show you're watching, you know, it's kind of taken off now, right? Like those. And maybe,
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because last week I decided I'm going to watch like a sitcom, like an 8 o'clock whatever it is.
Right.
And I'm
Oh.
sitting there watching it. I'm like,
Painful.
it's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah.
And streaming, and the good thing about streaming is you can choose what you want to watch.
Yeah.
And you can binge on it. You can do whatever you want. The bad part is there's so much out there. Hulu, Apple, like you could spend literally $500 a month if
Totally.
you're really into it.
My son got that. I think I told you this YouTube TV.
Yeah. Mhm.
So he gets multiple TVs. So he set me up. So I don't even pay for it now. And then I
Mhm.
get all this stuff and everything like that. So,
Now you are. Now you just mentioned it.
yeah.
They're
Uh,
listening.
let me see what our boy Danny Erickson has to say here. The Rangers could be a surprise team. The Islanders were, yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen, the Rangers could still be great. If
The one thing I did notice, and again, everybody has a coaching style, but you would think yesterday would have been a really good opportunity for Laviolette to call a timeout and say, "Hey, like show some emotion."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
guys, what are we doing here? Like, I can't remember the last time you called a timeout and just had a few words.
It's changed so much. Like the players, how they respond to criticism and all that kind of. It's just a different world, right? Yeah.
It's a world I'm not part of.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. It's harder for us to understand, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole, like, again, we go back to the Trouba thing with his wife. We're going, okay, just trade the freaking guy. The wife she'll deal with it later on.
Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know this.
What was that? There's something else that was like earth shattering. Oh, how about Joe Biden's wife flirting with Donald Trump there in the Arc de Triomphe or wherever they were?
I think she and Joe may have voted for him, actually.
Did you?
There's no love lost between them and Kamala Harris at all.
The terrible thing is they posted a picture of Trump, of Biden. He'd been in the wind and he's got that older hair. Oh, I felt bad for the man. That was.
Yeah. He's not going down gracefully. That's for sure.
I know.
It goes down a lot, but it's mostly stairs.
Yeah. Honest to God, I think the wife is out to make him look bad. Like, I know we've talked about this, but that video, you keep playing it. I keep seeing it online where he's walking on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
And like, why she's not trying to help him or anything. It's like,
all.
oh,
yeah.
God.
Well, at least he fell at sand. I guess she figured, because she is a doctor.
That's right. That's right, Joe.
It was a medical decision.
Oh, I'll tell you. I know we've talked about this. We joked around about this, but I get such a kick out of watching The View now.
Oh God.
Man.
It's got to be an act. Nobody can be that totally unhinged from reality.
Well, that's the thing. Like we've talked, I think, and it's kind of hard to phrase it this way, but I think they're intelligent women. They're just using their intelligence in the wrong way. Right?
It could be an act. I mean,
yeah,
I'll say anything you want for $8 million a year.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you and I are both the same way too. Listen, if you want to be more of a liberal and cheer for that, then fine, do it. Yeah. But it's got to be based in some reality. Yeah. Oh, we forgot about Shesterkin and his contract.
Yeah, I don't agree with it.
Well, it puts him,
8 years. 8 years. Why do you do that? Why do you put yourself in the hole for 8 years? He's a goaltender.
Well, that's the max. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year. That's the most. See, the thing is, the advantage the Rangers have is when the players' rights are owned by, like the Rangers in this case, they can offer him 8 years. That's the maximum deal.
Right.
If he becomes a free agent during the summer, the new team can only offer him 7 years.
Oh, I see.
So that's the leverage.
Kind of forces him into an 8-year deal.
Yeah. When you got that, once you got to that point where and I understand why he wanted to be at that like 11.5. But when other goaltenders are making like 9.5 and everything, it's ballsy move, man. But
yeah, I just think I mean I hope he can play 8 years, but it's a long time.
Well,
at that level,
what's going to happen. It's going to be the end of the contract. The last 1 or 2 years, everybody's going to be saying terrible contract. You shouldn't have signed him that much.
That's the problem.
But I think going into it with that kind of player, that
How old is he? Like 26, 27?
I think he might be closer to 30.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is the thing the GM looks at, and sometimes, and I'm not saying Drury's saying this, but the GM's going to say, "I won't be here anyways," kind of mentality.
That's true too.
It's somebody else's problem.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. What now? He could always. I mean, at the end of the 8 years, he could go play quarterback for the Jets. I mean, all you need to have is a name.
Oh, man. How about like at the Giants game, the empty seats at the Giants game too? And how about the plane flying overhead too? Like, Mr. Merrick, can you fix this?
Yeah. That's bad.
And they asked Neighbors, the young kid, the wide receiver, they asked him about it. He says, "It's not my plane, all right?"
I think it's happened before. I want to see a while back. I don't know if it was the Jets or the Giants or the Mets or the Yankees. One of these teams.
Maybe the Jets. It was one of the two. Jets or Giants. Yeah. Oh God, funny stuff. Okay, how about Juan Soto? We're not baseball guys. Like $765 million.
That's like more than Angola has. It's all their money for a whole country.
No. Yeah. I guess the logic is that the owner, the Mr. Cohen, is trying to do this development around the old Shea Stadium, Citi Field. It's an investment. So,
Yeah, I mean, I guess they didn't do it for any other reason other than hope that it'd be successful. But
yeah,
that's an enormous amount of money.
yeah.
It's-
Okay,
I mean,
man.
because then you're creeping up toward $1 billion.
I know $750 million. I remember. I know everything's like this. I remember years ago where a guy was like at $3 million a year, and you're going, unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 4
Okay.
million used 4 million over 2 years used to be. I mean, yeah, used to be
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah.
A big contract.
Susan Brooks, here we go. How can you possibly not be in favor of Eagles?
All right.
If the Rangers hadn't paid him, many other teams. Oh yeah, no, you're
we
right.
agree. Yeah.
You're not wrong in what you're saying there, Susan. It's just that along with that, you're kind of forced into doing it. It now, it's I think it was like 14% of the cap number,
Yeah.
which is doable. I mean, you look out there in Edmonton with Draisaitl and
Mhm.
and McDavid, they're making. Didn't Draisaitl just sign for $14 million a year? So
I think the only caveat or add, is what that gentleman who's a lot smarter than me was talking about. If you look at the past 12 or so Stanley Cup winning teams, yeah, you've had some really A-flight guys in net, but then you've had some guys that were B-plus guys, and they still won a cup.
yeah, so you're rolling the
Rolling the dice,
dice.
yeah.
Yeah, you're saying, okay, we really don't need that big time number one guy.
Mhm.
And what's hard to tell with the Rangers is too, they've had a rough start. So there's been some nights where Igor's just been unbelievable and kept him in games.
Yeah.
And there's been other times where,
There's only so much you can do. I mean, after 3 shots on the same play, something's going to go
Right.
in.
and then the argument comes up, it goes both ways too. So you can say the goaltender, well, he plays 60 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And then other people say, well, he only plays 65 games out of 82 though. Right.
Mhm.
So,
Well, the thing that I noticed, and it's just not last night, but they're just on the wrong side of the puck in their own zone. Too much.
yeah.
Way
It's
too
just
much.
that whole, it seems that whole, we've talked about it before, like that kind of nastiness, like little grittiness to it, yeah.
And just being out of position a lot.
Yeah. Look at DiPietro. Are they all still playing? Maybe
Yeah.
he signed like a 12-year deal.
He had a good fight career, though.
Oh, he got smoked by one guy, didn't he? Who was that guy?
Guy
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh. He didn't really play a lot, but
Yeah.
he punched him and broke fractured his jaw, busted.
I played in the alumni game with DiPietro. He lacks no confidence.
Yeah, I know that. I've heard.
Yeah. Like he starts yapping.
That's a good way to put it.
I said, I know you played, but I mean, how many games did you play?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Igor is 28 years old. I knew Susan would know that.
So, okay, 36. Still
Okay,
play.
so Susan has taken a stand here, and I like it. Susan's
Yeah.
pointing. She's painting the picture for us here. He's a Vezina winner. Cap will go up. Yeah, no, you're
Yeah,
right.
Cap's going up. Yeah.
No, very true. No, Susan, you're not wrong. Again, I think it's just one of those deals that you look at. That they're like we talked before.
Mhm.
People can look at it different ways. You can say we can still win without that top flight goaltender. Others will say no, you need to guarantee if you're going to be in New York and you're building this championship team, you need to have that number one guy. People have different opinions on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's analogous to baseball. I mean, pitching, you have 5 guys in rotation, but
Yeah.
it's also the other 8 guys on the field. So, and they're
Yeah,
playing every game.
and you know what? It's really interesting. I don't think I'm not a huge baseball guy, so I don't know that many games, but you don't really notice it as much during the regular season. When you get in the playoffs, that's when you really see, okay, yes, I see now why you paid this guy so much money.
Right.
So much money.
And like goaltending, pitching is a position where you could lose it real quick for just little differences in your game or whatever, or mentality mostly.
Yeah.
Whereas if
Juan Soto, and he's only 26 years old too. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And I admire him too, because apparently wasn't he offered like 400 some million recently and turned it down?
Yeah. So he rolled his dice. He won.
So okay, so now you've got the Steinbrenners and you've got Mr. Cohen
Mhm.
in the same city. From what I've read, they get along pretty well. But I mean, I'm sure they must have had a phone call to say, "Listen, we're both going for it here." So, best man.
You
can-
wonder, yeah.
Yeah.
But Bobby, the best contract ever is Bobby Bonilla. I mean, he's like my age. He still gets $1.5 million every June. Like,
That's pretty funny too.
Yeah.
This is like there's a certain, obviously a certain date, and everybody kind of celebrates that date
Yeah.
where he gets the check.
yeah, I know it's like a national holiday.
How about it? And didn't the Otani deal? A lot of it was deferred, right? But
Yes,
there
he
was
deferred a lot of it. Yeah.
right, which benefited the team, but also benefited him too because there's like the tax issue and everything like that.
Well, and he's hedging against inflation.
Well, yeah, but again, there's some like they invest the money into some trust or something like
Yeah.
that. So it
Yeah,
ends
it's
up
making
being
money. Yeah.
his real value, like the today value of it, that the teams look at is like much less than the 700 million, but the tax adjusted benefit down the road is like worth to $1 billion because of the way they did. But again, he's making so much money in marketing too. So
yeah, and as we all know, they don't take enough taxes from us.
yeah. Okay, what do we got? Hey Tom, what do you think about Dave Parker making the Hall of Fame? The Bucks were your team. Dave Parker.
Yeah, I think so.
Dave Parker. I don't remember his as much. Like I remember Willie Stargell.
Willie Stargell, Dave Parker. Dave Parker was a big time
Was he?
home run hitter. He was
Oh.
part of that whole team with We Are Family.
Yeah. Okay, so he was. Okay.
Tremendous player.
Oh,
I think he should be in the Hall. He
Dave
had
Parker.
Willie Stargell. He had Manny Sanguin.
Manny Sanguin. Wasn't Manny Sanguin that was swinging at anything? Like he'd be the
Yeah.
really leadoff hitter?
But he was one of the first catchers to shoot the leg out way to the side instead of the traditional crouch position. He'd shoot his right leg out, like really out to the side.
And aren't they all doing that now? Isn't that a big thing now? That
Yeah, there's all kinds. It's like goaltending. Like some get down on their knees, almost like from a.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
How's your training going? Training some of your guys?
Good. Everything's good. Yeah. It's coming up on the holidays, so people are less around, but
Good luck hitting in front of Mark Vientos instead of Aaron. Yeah, that's the difference. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna be to see how he does. Yeah. Okay, here's a topic now.
Mm-hmm.
So the head of the CEO of United Healthcare was
Mm-hmm.
assassinated. I guess you call it assassinated. A lot of people have not been too kind.
I know.
Now, and again, at first I was like, wow, that's rude. But then I think, okay, so somebody there, and there's a few stories. So your grandmother gets put into the hospital and she goes some surgery. And then the United Healthcare comes along after 3 days and says, okay, now you've got to go. We're not paying for it anymore. And she's still not ready to go.
Yeah. In some ways, in many ways, it's surprising this type of thing, unfortunate as it is, hasn't happened before.
Yeah.
There was even a movie, I think it was Denzel Washington, where something about his kid, and it's not health insurance, but it's going after the doctors. Yeah. And
that was a good movie too. Oh yeah. Good.
So, Bill and I did that active shooter thing in a hospital. So I did a really deep dive research into that particular workplace violence and healthcare. Turns out 75% of all workplace violence occurs in the medical, either ER or the psych ward.
Oh,
75%. They believe it's higher, but a lot of it goes unreported. But that said, it's a big chunk, and a lot of it is the most typical actor is a white male in his 60s, because he gets frustrated with the lack of treatment. So whether it's at the front desk dealing with the nurses, whatever.
Sure.
So, but this whole thing, it's a weird story. I mean, they found a backpack with Monopoly money in it.
I know.
So, yeah.
And they're going on like the mayor of New York City is trying to say, oh, the noose is tightening around his neck. Well,
it's like an episode of Batman.
Yeah. If they really had that much stuff, why are they searching in the pond? I guess they continue to do their due diligence, but
I think, I wouldn't be surprised if they get him within the hour, and I also wouldn't be surprised if they never get him.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Because they want to make it seem like they scare the guy or whatever.
I mean, his face is all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Like they did that one picture where he had the mask down. He was flirting with the girl at the hotel or whatever.
See what I mean, Tom? See what I mean?
What?
Men just can't stop. You're there to kill somebody. Focus on your job.
Yeah, I'm there to kill somebody. Oh, by the way, you want to come to my room
later? I'll be back in like 10 minutes.
I'm just gonna kill this guy. Wow. And then the gun, I guess they're saying the gun he was using was meant to kill horses or whatever, or shoot horses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Why? Okay, so why would he? Is that some kind of a clue?
It has some type of a sound suppressor on it.
Right. Oh, okay.
So,
but I mean, you can get a gun with a silencer. So I'm wondering, is there some kind of meaning behind him using that gun? Was there?
Or maybe he just is a farm boy. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. And what was it with the bullets? That song, Deny, Defend.
Yeah, Deny, Defend, something else, but it was from a book written specifically about health insurance and how they kind of screw people over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. My guess is they'll never find him.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because they should have found him by now. I mean,
yeah,
it's over a week.
Right. And you got to think, like, he would have thought, it seems like he's been very thoughtful in what he's doing, right? Like the bike and all that kind of stuff. So.
Hey, before I forget, I want to shout out to our good friend Keith Morano. So,
Oh,
he's coaching a high school team
yeah.
here in New Jersey, West Milford. So what they do now, they co-op teams. I think it's because of the cost of sport now. Kids can't afford it. So it's actually 3 high schools, West Milford, Pequannock, and Pompton Lakes. Anyhow, I stopped by to say hello to Keith before the game Friday, first game of the season. It was against Lakeland, which is their biggest rival.
Right.
And they won 7-6 in overtime. So
Nice.
Congratulate Keith and Chris Scarpa, the head coach.
So they won despite the coaching? Despite the coaching, they won? Is that?
Yeah, well, Keith is awful. I mean, I had to say, this is the blue line, Keith. If this guy, no. It's pretty exciting. I stuck around. I watched the first period. I had coached Pequannock. My son had played there, but it was 12 years ago, 13, 14, 15, I don't know. And it's pretty good hockey for Jersey high school hockey. Yeah.
That's cool. There's our boy right here. I can't find who left.
Yeah. I know.
That's fun. That's very good, Keith. Actually, think about that.
Right. He's absolutely right. Yeah.
That the cocaine thing, I think, is hilarious. Like the way they handled it. Like, we don't know where it came from. Like, there's no cameras in the White House, and there's Hunter Biden. So, all right. So, but here, okay. Let's talk about the whole pardon thing just in general first. So every president pardons people at the end of his term.
Yep.
There's no law for that. That just seems like that's just a precedent.
Well, it turns out there actually is a pardon, I think, commission.
Okay.
But I don't know how much teeth it has.
Right.
But generally speaking, you pardon someone after they have served their time.
Right.
So it expunges their record.
Or but there's still other cases where people are in jail. There are other presidents of
very few. It's mostly like, so there's even, so Jack Johnson, the boxer, right? So he fought 1800s, early 1900s. He had his world title taken away from him because he was with a white woman, married a white woman. Back then it was, so I forget what president, but pardoned him, so to speak, so that he would get that ceremonial title back even after his death. But I mean, Bill Clinton pardoned Mark Rich, who was a big tax evasion guy.
Right.
And it was because, his wife was a big donator to his campaign.
Right.
And, Bill, she was a pretty attractive woman. So who knows what else. But this is a first. This is there's no precedent for, actually pardoning somebody before they've been sentenced for a crime.
And I read about it too. He goes back to like 2014. Like it's just all encompassing
stuff. It's pretty obvious why.
Yeah.
It is a little concerning, really, all kidding aside, that there can be such transparent outside corruption. I'm not just going to pick on Biden, but in a lot of government. And there's never accountability for it.
So who did Trump pardon after his first term? Anybody controversial?
I don't recall. I'm sure there will be. Well, Jared Kushner's father.
Oh.
Yeah, that was controversial because Jared obviously is his son-in-law. But the man did serve his time, I believe.
Yeah. I saw where somebody said, so Trump denied that there was a laptop, and now he's pardoning Hunter because of
Biden did, yeah.
Right.
Biden denied it, yeah.
Right.
Well, and preemptive pardons. Imagine if we could do that in life.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, I'm gonna do something really bad, but guess what?
Well, and I know we talked like the worst part. I even feel bad for the Democrats because
they're a mess.
Well, because he's saying, okay, many times, I'm not going to pardon my son. Now they're running on that. They're talking. This is the difference between us and the Republicans. We follow the letter of the law. They don't. Well, now,
Yeah, I mean, and all the legacy media, they're jacked up because they were out there saying, Trump's convicted 34 convictions. Here's the difference. Joe Biden's already said he's going to pardon his son. That he's a man of conviction. He's a man of this, a man of that. Look, they're all swamp creatures, all of them. Trump is the reason they hate Trump so much is because he's not. And it's pretty bad that, again, the things they do, they get away with. If you or I did them, we'd be 3 hots in a cup for sure.
But you know what, though? I mean, not that it's right, but that seems like that's become the norm with politicians.
Always has been, all throughout history. And every, I mean, and it doesn't matter if it's capitalism or communism. There's always an elite group that get away literally with murder.
Yeah. And I still get amazed that we are amazed that they do
exactly.
that.
I mean, everybody knew he was going to pardon him. The thinking is what they were counting on was the good chance that Kamala would win, and then Kamala would pardon him. This way, Joe Biden really never did pardon his own son.
So they knew a president coming into can also pardon. It isn't just a president that's leaving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but again, there's really no law. It just seems like this is something that's just been passed through the years that
Yeah,
presidents do.
yeah. It's again been used for various reasons, but this is the first time it's ever been used in this fashion. And is again, I hate this term, is what it is. Nothing I can. What are you gonna do?
Well, listen, we talked about this. I think if I was the president and I had the ability to keep my son out of jail, there's guaranteed I'd do it. I wish it probably would have. I think what people are saying is they would have more appreciated, instead of him lying about it, saying it's my son. If he gets convicted,
right,
then I'm going to take care of my son.
Or
You need
how
to know
about
that.
just leave it open ended? I haven't made a decision on it.
Yeah. Or just, I think I would have respected him more if he just said, listen, if my son gets convicted, I'm going to take care of my son. Right?
It's interesting too, because Trump was interviewed by Kristen Welker yesterday on Meet the Press. And she's no lover of Trump. And everybody knows that. And that's okay. Whatever. And she was talking about a few things. And in particular, she was talking about deportation. And he said, no, I won't do that. She said, no chance you will do it. He said, well, I'm not going to say, yeah, things change.
Yeah.
And then he said, look at Biden said he wasn't going to pardon his son. We all know. So he said, I'm not going to. And she was trying to get him to commit to something that he said, at this point in time, no, things can change.
Yeah. Here's our veteran out in beautiful Chicago, Chi-Town.
Yeah, Chi-Town.
Yes.
What'd the Bears do yesterday?
They lost again yesterday.
Yeah. How about Detroit? What did they do?
They won on Thursday night. Beat a good game against Green Bay. Really good game.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
So Susan's giving an update here.
She's on top of everything. She's on top of the Yankees, the Rangers, the shootings around the world. How about who's the guy that in Syria? What's his name there? Had to leave.
Bashar Assad.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a pretty vicious guy.
Really? Wow.
Well, the problem there is he was vicious. I mean, he's murdered probably 500,000 of his own people and brutally with mustard gas and things of that nature. His family's been in dictatorship there for 50 years. They're vicious people. The problem is now you've created there's a vacuum that's been created. Yeah. And the guys that moved in are not real friendly to us.
Right. So, okay, I'm assuming the U.S. was in the background in some capacity with this.
Of course.
Yeah. Right. So now, and then the Russians, they give him asylum, right? Him and his family give him.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, that he's, he's already in Moscow.
Right. Okay. And how about, what's his name? Brizgalov there. I know it's not Brizgalov, but the guy, the head of the president of Ukraine. What's his name?
Zelensky.
Oh, okay.
The comedian.
What's his nickname? So we got Putin for
Putin.
There was another one we had there too.
I forgot. Yeah, for Zelensky, right?
Yeah, did we have another one for Zelensky?
Yeah, I think we did.
Oh no, it was the French guy. It was
Macaroni.
Macaroni, yes.
There's his wife.
Zelensky. Oh, Zelensky. We'll call him Ziti.
Yeah, Ziti. There you go.
Yeah. So he shows up to a meeting with Trump. Trump's got the suit and tie on, and Zelensky's got the work boots and the
little track outfit on.
Everybody's making a big deal about it. Is it a big deal? Like everybody
I think Zelensky's trying to portray we're at war.
Right.
Yeah.
He was an actor, wasn't he? A comedian or something too?
Comedian, yeah. Listen, I don't know if he's the best guy for the job either. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff that's been reported about him and whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so our boy Pete, is it Hegseth or Hegseth?
Hegseth.
Hegseth.
Yeah. Okay. He's probably going to get in. It looks better and better.
It looks better now?
Oh, yeah. Trump's saying, no, he's my guy. And I think there might be a few votes short in the Senate because there's some people that are going to be obstinate to him, but
okay,
I think he'll get it.
So it appears he hasn't really denied he was partying, drinking, or whatever it is, right? Okay. Well, okay, so this was like 7 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
These reports. It doesn't mean he stopped 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe he was doing it yesterday. I don't know. But okay, these are one of these things again where if there's all these people saying this stuff, would he have been better off to say, listen, I have done some things in the past, like all people have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but obviously, if I'm going to be in this role, I don't do that now, and I'm not going to. I don't know.
So here's my answer to that. How do we know he did them? Now, let's just back up a minute. All right. These are anonymous sources. And Trump spoke to this yesterday. He said, listen, I'm not going to disqualify a guy on anonymous sources.
Yeah.
And think of Trump's position. That's what you guys have been doing to me for the past 8 years.
Totally.
Russia. There was nothing there. That was all made up. So I think that's a big part of it. I think the American public also are a little bit more understanding that, like, just anonymous sources, it's a little,
Well, I guess what
you
hurts
know,
him though is when his mother sends that email where she really rips into him the way he
but
treats women, right?
that was about, to my understanding, that was more about his ex-wives.
Well,
And again, it's a personal matter, but let's not forget that.
well, okay, hold on though. I mean, you
Mhm.
can't dismiss it. If people are making these comments on the stuff he's doing, and his own mother is saying that stuff, now
Mhm.
since that time, she has come out and been very honest and said, "Yes, I also now after the fact, I was mad the way he was acting, and after the fact, I sent a follow-up email
Right.
that was much different, obviously." So,
And here's the other part of it. If Pete Hegseth was up for nomination for, I don't know, marriage counselor, probably not the guy you want.
yeah,
Doesn't make him a bad person. If you want the most lethal military on the planet, then Pete Hegseth's the guy. So what are we
I
talking
know
about here?
this expectation. Here's the thing, too. This is all encompassing. This is Republican, Democrat, where local government, federal government. If the expectation that these people are going to church every morning
Mhm.
and drinking tea, it's just not the reality.
You know, you and I are very, very fortunate. We didn't have to serve. We never faced combat.
Yeah.
But the men, and you'll attest to this, the men that we do know that have served multiple combats and you know, all kinds of stuff. I give them a free pass on certain, not everything, but on certain behaviors.
It's an understanding of
Yeah.
why they act the way they act.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to a much lesser extent and less rational, even professional athletes. Again, we don't have the excuse that I should not use the word excuse. We don't have the we didn't go through the things that somebody in the military went through,
Mhm.
but we act stupid, right? I guess it's so.
Well, all men do. I mean, it's look no further than Wall Street. Look no further
God.
than, I mean,
Yeah.
so, but, and the bigger picture here is, we need less bureaucrats. And that's, I think, where we've gone astray. Where unelected bureaucrats control the military, control this, control that, and they really don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know because that's an interesting point because like Trump's nominating a lot of people and they're saying, well, he doesn't have experience. Well, that's the whole point. We don't want him to have the experience that these other people have had. We want new people in there that are not going to do what everybody else has done to put us in the position that we're in right now.
Yeah, their experience for whatever it is, whether it's transportation, military, health, their experience has to be germane to the topic, but it doesn't have to be, you know, they're not bureaucrats. And the problem that you see at the highest levels of all the government is that it become bureaucrats where they just get entrenched for years because they're not elected. Some of these people get 30, 40, 50-year careers at that level.
Okay. Our boy, Mr. He bring up an excellent point here. Thanks for bringing this up. Pearl Harbor Day was Saturday.
Nothing. I thought about that this morning.
I know.
Nothing. Not a word.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like 9/11. Are we going to be like that 75 years from now?
Never forget, right? Well, we forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That had to be. Imagine what that was like, right? Because we didn't have the internet, we didn't have the TV or cell phones or anything like that.
Well, so there was a gentleman I've spoken about numerous times, Billy Baugh, who was a Green Beret, then Special Force SOG guy in Vietnam, and then worked for CIA for a bunch of years. He was a 16-year-old. In this book, it starts off, he's a 16-year-old kid in like Western Texas, a really small town, and he's running the projector at the local movie theater when we got Pearl Harbor. And the sheriff came in and said, "Hey, you got to shut it down." And the sheriff went on stage and said, "Hey, listen, we've just been attacked." You know, they didn't know what else is coming. Everybody go home, pull your blinds down, the whole bit. So, yeah, there's things that are pretty outstanding. And this was one of them. And then just to forget about it is terrible.
Have you been shot with a taser?
No. No.
Oh, that feels. Oh, I just thought
we can arrange that. I mean, I have one.
You know what? I've been looking up with this whole like bugging out and everything like that. The doomsday preppers and all that.
You're going to need more than a taser.
Yeah. But they talk about tasers. They talk about pepper spray, rubber bullets, all this kind of different stuff.
Well, I mean, there is for home protection in Byrna, it's BYRNA. They make a non-lethal weapon, and it's legal. You can even walk around with it concealed. It shoots like a marble about that big, and it explodes and it lets out a little bit of like not tear gas, but some kind of irritant. But it's I mean, if you're looking for non-lethal, it's a good way to go.
Right.
You know, we had this conversation. We were out Saturday for a Christmas party, and the guy was talking about, well, I got my handgun next to the bed and all that. So that's good. So how many times a week do you go to the range? Well, buddy,
I know.
you're gonna end up killing somebody that doesn't need to be killed.
Yeah, isn't that true? You think about that way. People with guns. I'm the same way. I haven't fired my shotgun. I have a shotgun in my closet, and
Well, and I told him if you did get it, somebody breaks in a house and you kill him, order 2 ambulances, one for him and one for you, because you're gonna have a nervous breakdown.
What's that say again?
So I told him, and I tell a lot of people this, when you really think it through. First of all, no one should ever break into your home. Number one, there's ways to prevent that, right? But if they do, and you do kill them, when you call them into police, tell them to send 2 ambulances, one for the victim and one for you, because you're gonna have a nervous breakdown.
Oh,
yeah, we're not mentally equipped to kill them.
that's, you know what, I kind of want. This is kind of sick, but I'm glad you're about that. Like, you think
It's
to yourself,
reality.
if somebody's breaking into my house and I kill him, okay, fine, done with him. But it's not that easy.
It's
right?
not that easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if your family witnesses it, it's a mess.
That's
So
true too.
again, there's no reason anyone should ever break into your home.
Okay, but
Yeah.
but some guys determined to break in your home. You're saying because you haven't barricaded it properly?
Well, so I tell people there's three rings of concentric security. So the first one is, so I have the Ring doorbell thing that
Say concentric one more time for me.
concentric.
Oh, you sexy bastard.
Yeah. There's eccentric too, but anyway, so that Ring also gives you updates in the neighborhood, like what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
So something that's 4 miles away, say that they're kicking in doors, which they have been, I'm aware of it. So that's my outer layer of like intel. Closer to the house is the Ring itself. I see people walking up to the door, all that. So I can look out, see who's out there, friend and foe. Third is secure door. Most doors, front doors, 2.5-inch screws. Go to Home Depot, get 5.5-inch screws. Most home doors you kick in with 2 kicks very easily.
Okay, so you know how to defend yourself. You're trained in that. But there's a lot of men and women who don't know how to defend themselves. So the first layer, you've got the Ring, and you see around where people are kicking in doors.
Correct.
Now, you know what to do. You're going to prepare yourself. Now, a lot of people are going to go into panic mode. They're going to go, what do I do?
Well, it makes them more aware, and awareness is the critical thing here, to be aware of it, you know, and just about, if you watch people that have been unfortunately attacked, many of them, a whole bunch of them will say, you know, looking back upon it now, no, you knew it then, but you chose to ignore it, right? For whatever reason. So awareness helps, obviously. And then you have like I said, and you can, I mean, I could give a whole hour talk on this, but even your home. So let's say you have floor level windows. Well, put big pieces of furniture in front of them. So a guy breaks in the window, it's going to slow him down enough that you can react to it.
Well, he's going to sit on the couch before he
and have a beer and make a few calls. Yeah. So there's things you could do. And then, you know, you could harden up the door, and you could, and then from the inside, once they're in the home, then you should have some type of defense system. And listen, everybody's going to be, if you had a family, if you got a wife and 3 kids, you better have a plan.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't want to scare everybody, but just say, listen, if anything happens, this is where you go.
Well, like again, like, you know, your sons live somewhat, well, the one's in Chicago, but my sons are local. So, okay, we need to have, excuse me,
communications.
We need to have a place. Okay, where are we going to meet if shit hits the fan, right?
Oh yeah, well, if that happens, then I'm going in the woods. I've already got my.
I think too. Like if we have a nuke, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? Go into a bunker for 2 years or whatever? A bunker.
First of all, we get nuked here.
Yeah,
we're all French fries.
Yeah, I'd rather stand underneath the bomb and just finish it right there.
Just vaporize.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
What if it landed on my head there and it
might bounce.
I was going to say it did more damage.
I'm thinking about wearing my hockey helmet now when I go outside with all these drones out
here. So you mentioned you're still having some of those gang members breaking into houses.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gang members, but yeah, it's quite common. And again, I don't want to blame it on it could be anybody, but yeah, there's been some door kick-ins in broad daylight, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. But really, if your front door, usually builders only put 2.5-inch screws. If you back those out, put 5.5, it's a lot of effort, much more. Yeah.
I tell you, years ago, must have been 15, maybe 20 years ago, I was in New York and I was going to get my concealed weapon permit. Mm-hmm. And you have to do the interview with the police officer. So I was in Rye getting interviewed. And the police officer is really cool. He goes, I wish everybody had a gun. Because you think about it, like, obviously, criminals are going to go to the place, the path of least resistance, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if they know everybody's got a gun, they're going to go, well,
Yeah, I talk about that a lot. I think, I don't know if I sent you the video, but it's a little play acting. But like if you're at the ATM, did we talk about this?
oh, yeah.
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 And if you see guys coming, they don't look like they're really cool, just back out your card and start screaming you're out of money.
Yeah.
And they
Ooh,
devalued it.
Here's an interesting. My dad's friend shot and killed his neighbor who was a teenager who had broken into his home and affected the shooter very deeply.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That, well, it's not a secret, so I'll mention it. But Mark Pavlich, who we lost, obviously took his own life when he was a teenager. Was in a hunting accident, and I remember hearing he accidentally shot his friend and lost his life.
Oof.
Yeah, and I didn't think much of it, but I think about it after, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like there was a whole string of things happened to Mark, and that obviously was part of it too, right? So,
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's probably the most horrible thing you could ever have happen in your life, unless it's you or someone. But you know what I mean? It's a very traumatic experience.
so imagine, so like all the military guys, but they're trained for, like, a Navy SEAL. He's highly trained. He may kill, I mean, he may kill nobody, but if he gets into a battle, he may kill 20 men in a battle, right?
Yeah. So let me try to explain this. So there's a guy by the name of John McPhee. He was Delta Force. I think I've sent you some of his stuff. He just did a 3-hour one with Joe Rogan, or 2-hour with Joe Rogan. He's known as the Sheriff of Baghdad. He's probably one of the most interesting people you'll ever hear interviewed. He's probably a psychopath, but he's on our team.
Right.
You know, there is 2%. They figure there's about 2% military psychopaths, and probably a larger percentage in special ops. Doesn't make them bad people. When I say psychopath, they're able to complete a mission and remove all emotion from it. Okay. And he talks about that. He talks about the fact that it's pretty gruesome, but he would often cut off the shirts of enemy combatants to show his men where their grouping on their shots were, to analyze it.
Oh.
Right. But then he said, then we go back, break out the whiskey, and we talk about it.
Oh.
Meaning confront it right away. Don't wait till the guy's home back at Kmart and all of a sudden it hits him.
Right.
You know, so that, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a full, but he's a pretty interesting guy. And one of the things Joe Rogan said, you were never afraid. He goes, listen, everybody's going to die. I'm not going to let it ruin my day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's a different person. That's a different mindset. And that's how.
And is that really, you can say that now until you've really killed somebody.
He really means it. But that's how he, no, he's also talking about his own personal safety.
I know we talked about this. Hold on 1 second here. I want to see what they claimed that Pavlich grew inquire when the time.
Yeah, sure.
I don't remember that, but again, be honest with you, I just wasn't aware of stuff. We talked about this. There's a great video of this guy I see all the time, an older gentleman. He's got the long beard, and he's very, there's a lot of stuff talking. And he was getting interviewed, and he said, and again, I don't want to influence other people. I just want to pass this along. Like, there's this big thing with mental health where they want men to talk about their problems more, which I don't disagree with. But he's had a little bit different opinion. He said, a man starts talking about his problems too much. It actually can make him weaker. What a man really wants is the people that he's making all these sacrifices for, his children, his wife, his family members. He needs to know that they appreciate that he's doing it. That's really what a lot of men really want. They want to know that you don't have to sit and have a conversation with me. When I worked my rear end off all day long and I put up with all kinds of crap, I just want to come home and know that my family really appreciates what I've done. So,
and that's the sentiment you'll hear time and time again from veterans. You know, when you say thank you for your service, and their thought is, and just, you know what, be the best American you can be. Yeah, because that's who I did it for. You know.
Isn't it true? I know we've talked about this before. You and I have both been very fortunate to be around military personnel, and I've asked people, and I've asked police officers too, is it okay if I go up and thank them? And they're going, are you kidding me, Tom? That is fantastic. And I've really noticed that with people. The funniest, I was in Costco, my favorite place. This gentleman was walking around with a Vietnam hat on. And so I went up to him and I said, were in Vietnam? And he said, yes, I was. I said, thank you very much for your service. He goes, I was in the area.
Well, again, he may be a guy like John McPhee who just, you know what, man, it's my job and that's what I'm going to do. And you got to listen to him because he's really a unique kind of guy.
John McPhee, okay.
Yeah. he, I mean, there's so many stories he tells, but it's just he had to get eyes on to be able to put a target package to go after Bin Laden. So he went out on his own to Tora Bora hitchhiking. He's a big Irish guy, right?
Right.
I mean, he's a big dude, and he would wear the cafe and everything looked like the garb they wear there, but you could clearly see he was not
Right.
from Afghanistan. But anyhow, he gets on this what they call a jingly bus, which is you probably see him in the buses. They're all decorated and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So they hit a roadblock, and a bad guy comes on with an AK, and he's screaming in Farsi, whatever he's speaking. He goes, I don't speak any of that. So he goes, if I speak English, and this is the way he says this to Joe, goes, so I don't speak that, but if I speak English, he's going to kill me. So that's not an option. The way he said, it's not an option. So Joe goes, what'd you do? He goes, I stood up, I got right in his face, and I just started screaming like I was out of my mind mental.
Oh.
I think Joe goes, what did you do? Well, he listened to me, then he said some stuff and screaming, and then he left. but I mean, the size of on this guy, I mean,
yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
What do we got here? I feel like I'm searching for that appreciation from my family. It's depressing, but I never show it.
Hey, you just got to do what you can do. But it's not also against the rules to say, hey guys, how about a little appreciation here once in a while?
Well, but see, and that's like when I guess what I learned from that statement, I started thinking about it after was, so when you talk about mental health, it isn't necessarily just that. So in the case of a man who's the provider going out there in the world, the big nasty world. So his mental health isn't just about people like him seeing a psychiatrist, let's say. It's about his whole family getting more of an education. Listen, here's what your father, your husband is going through. Here's what he needs from you. In fairness, it's not fair to the woman or to the children to know that stuff, right? They just, how would they know
right.
that?
So you know from playing and also being an agent for so long, you've had players that had to go away for treatment, and treatment is not only for the player. It's a family matter, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's the same thing in this kind of regard.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah. Like
my phone is blown up. I think they found Daniel Perry innocent. I think.
Oh.
If somebody could confirm that.
Oh.
Yeah. My
I got to tell you that the more and more I feel terrible that the other young man lost his life.
Oh.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, if everybody's going to be put in jail because they now defended other people, nobody's going to do anything anymore. They're going to say, I can't, I'm not going to risk my life.
Yeah, it's unfortunate what they politicized and turned into a racial thing, which had absolutely zero to do with this. And don't forget, it wasn't too long ago, 2 Marines were on a train in France and put down a guy who was about to do some really bad stuff.
Right.
So,
right. Just trying to find it here, see if I can find it. Nah, I'm on USA Today. Huh, interesting.
Just put in Daniel Perry, see if it pops up.
Yeah. He's got that curly hair going on too. That kind of
that is a crime. He does need a haircut.
Yeah. And just to be clear, so with a Navy SEAL, you call him and he's not anymore. He's a retired Navy SEAL.
I'm retired. Yeah.
Marines want to be called Marines, even if they're retired. They don't want it. But Army personnel are not the same way. They're retired Army.
It depends. I mean, it's an individual thing. I think for SEALs and guys that are tier 1 guys like that, they're always going to be that guy.
Oh, okay.
I
guess I'm thinking more like the polite and professional, respectful way to.
I mean, look, again, what they'll say is the way you can respect me is just be a good American. Make it worth me fighting for you.
Yeah. Well,
it's just like hockey. You wouldn't fight for a guy that's being an idiot. Like, I don't want to say the guy's name, Rob Blake, but nobody liked that kid.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. Like if I've gone over and I've risked my life, I don't know. I guess some of the guys I've talked to, I guess it's extreme. So when they left Afghanistan, there's a lot of guys who were pissed, right? They're like, okay, I went over there and risked my life.
Like,
there's other guys, the Navy SEAL I talked to, he was like, Tom, be honest with you, I went there for vengeance. So I really don't care. I went there to kill people. So
yeah, but I'm still sure at some level he's upset about the way it was handled. So Mr. Haynes was in Kuwait. He was saying, and that even over there during the war, he heard the national anthem and it was very emotional for him. We need that back. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, like him or love him or hate him, he said a long time ago, the biggest problem with the United States is people don't have a national identity. It's kind of hard because we're from all over the place. But he said that's the big difference he sees between Europeans and Americans.
A lot of Europeans have more of a national identity.
Well, yeah, I mean, because if you're from Germany, you're a German. If you're an American, you could be an African American, Italian American, Irish American.
I got to tell you, I think it's really where
Americans
you're from. I find in the Midwest, they're more patriots, and I'm generalizing when I say that.
Right.
But I think it's a different.
Well, it's because traditionally those areas of the country have been less diverse.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I've dealt with the mental health for years, and it's a godsend.
Good. That's good to hear they work. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I deal with a daughter on the autism spectrum that suffers with depression. She's nasty to me all the times, but I just chuckle and do our activities here.
That's all you can do, brother.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Loving her. Just keep loving her. Yeah.
But at the same time, like in Danny's case, like, okay, this is a good example. So the man is expected to, it's awful. Again, it's not his daughter's fault that she's acting the way she acted, but now he's sacrificing all this, his emotions and everything. It's important that, I guess in that case, and again, this is my opinion, it's important then his wife and everybody else around him recognize the sacrifices that he's making, right? That, if I'm doing all this for my family, you don't have to sit and talk to me. Just give me a hug every once in a while. Show me that you appreciate what I'm doing.
I think what can occur, and it's probably more often than not, is that when it's a family dynamic, everybody's suffering, So even though there should be some kind of acknowledgement of it, sometimes it goes unsaid because everybody's going through the same thing at the same time. Right?
Yeah. But see, to me, that's we take that sense that it's explainable why it's not happening, but that's the problem. People want to explain it away instead of doing something about it. Right?
Yeah, no, it's starting to be a better world in general. People acknowledge people for what they do. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's where I'm getting at. Where we talk about mental health. And I think I've kind of shifted a little bit in my beliefs that like we talked. It isn't just about, like in Danny's case, Danny going and getting mental health. It's more everybody understanding, okay, here's what Danny's going through. And at the same time, here's what Danny's wife is going through.
Right.
So they all need to be there.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's got to be a family.
They all need to be there for each other and say, listen, I appreciate the way you're handling this. And then he says to his wife, listen, I also appreciate the way you're handling it too. Right?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Yes, mental health. But it was just interesting. I saw this guy talk because there's been times where I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to open up and talk about my feelings. And I'm going, oh God. Like that, that just makes me.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different. I mean, I think people in general keep a lot of their true feelings close to the vest,
right?
Because you're afraid of being somebody saying, "Well,"
especially men. Like if you're a man, like if you're to me, what I believe is the true definition of a man. You're the leader. You're the provider, right? So then you feel like, okay, if I break down and now tell people my feelings, they're going to look at me like I'm weaker, and now they're not going to trust me and all. That, whether that's accurate or not, that's just a fact of life. I think with a lot of men, but how they feel. So
yeah.
Deep. We're going deep today. We're going
man.
Deep. It hurts with that hug I apply. Yeah. Well, Danny, you need to. We lost Mark there, but Danny, I got to tell you, brother. Never met your wife like that. I'm sure what a person, but I think it may be important and use Danny's example here. And I'm glad you're opening up, talking about stuff where it's you go to the people around you and say, hey, listen, and have like a sit down, not when you're mad, not when you're sad or whatever, like plan a meeting and say, listen, this is how I feel. So that, because I just think in fairness, like again, a woman, I don't understand how women think all the time. Rarely do I understand how women think. So it's not fair for a woman to understand how a man would think as well. So interesting topic, and we'll keep going on that. But Danny, I'm glad you chimed in there too. It's you go through a lot of stuff, and I'm sure your wife goes through a lot of stuff. And I think it's important that everybody understands. Hey, I need a pat in the back, But so, all right, everybody, you have a fantastic week. Everybody, keep taking care of each other. 988 hotline, shoulder check, all those places, and we're here for you too. We'll see you next week. Talk to you. Bye.